Good afternoon. You're watching Up to Data, a retail news chat show in which we discuss all things tech, data and digital transformation. And today we have the co-founder of Mums World, the region's largest online baby shop, Leena Al Khalil. Thanks so much for joining us, Leena.
Lovely to have you all here.
So, Leena, over the course of the last few episodes, we've been talking to a lot of legacy retailers who've made this move online, and it's been an interesting transition and transformation journey for them. Now, you've been in the e-commerce space, you've been a pure player for so many years. How has your website evolved over all of these years?
At the core of what we do is we wanted to deliver everything mother, baby, and child. And when we launched with that mission. So we said Mums World, everything mother, baby, and child. And really, everything mother, baby, and child is not product. It's product, it's content, it's community. You know, the founders are moms. The founders have children. We had very young children when we launched Mums World. We were very familiar with the challenges a mother faced, and we understood that. Not only is she looking for products that weren't available in the region when we launched 9 years ago, but she's desperate for content. And content in English was difficult to find, the right content, but in Arabic it was impossible.
Okay.
And still till today, the percentage of total Arabic content online is very small if you consider the number of Arabic speakers in the world. And then if you take the mommy segment as a subsegment of that Arabic content, you're talking about really very little a mom can lean on. And when you come to printed books, self-help books for moms, how do I put my child to bed, how, you know, what to expect when you're expecting. I think it's been translated only 2-3 years ago, and there's no Arabic equivalent. And literally, if you don't have a grandmother or a mother near you, you're pretty much on your own.
Yeah.
And the web is not a place to go. So Mums World is there to fill that gap, to support you, to hold your hand, and to provide you with a community of other moms that you can lean on. You can see what other moms are doing. You can, you know, it's always more comforting to see that someone else bought it or someone else recommends it. It's a whole new world for you, and it's not easy.
Amazing. So I think we need to talk about all of the three pillars you've mentioned, from product, content and community. Let's start with community first. So obviously you started as an e-commerce platform 9 years back. At that point, you know, when there were Facebook groups that were springing, there were little mums groups, etc. springing. Was there a demand, and was there a need for a community that was only for the mother, baby, child category?
So moms historically, I think throughout hundreds of years, always organized themselves in like little communities.
Yeah.
They always found other moms.
Yeah.
I think as we live in bigger cities and people move around and people move away from their immediate family, that's becoming more and more difficult. But when we launched, there were a lot of forums online where the content wasn't quality, the community wasn't organized, the ratings wasn't there. Today, you know, you go in and most forums have some kind of rating, or you can see who is commenting.
Yeah.
So more and more technology has come in to organize those communities online, but originally they were always communities. The quality, the ability to interact wasn't very strong.
Right.
On our platform, we really care about what's on our platform in terms of whether it's community reviews, community interaction. You know, we have over 400 influencers who work with Mums World to support the mother community, to bring information, to bring product to the mother community. And so between our own content and the user-generated content, we've been able to create a very, very active ecosystem.
So is it only an online community that you're talking about, or does it also translate? Do you also do physical in-person events to translate that in a real environment?
So we've been building up to a lot of physical events, but we were set back, as with everybody else, with Corona, and especially that you want to attract the new mom or the pregnant mom. We're more careful on the offline events,
Right.
because that's quite a critical time. Like when you just delivered or when you're pregnant, we don't want that responsibility. Although once everyone's immunized and we're back to normal, we'll go back to the full, offline events as well.
Right, so we've spoken to a lot of legacy retailers for whom it's a task to get the data and garner and acquire all of the data. But for e-commerce pure players like yourself, that is where you start, right? Because everyone's coming online to your e-shops, etc. So how is it that you leverage the data, and how do you use it to make your buying decisions, your selling decisions, or your community building decisions?
The difference between online and offline is that we started with a lot of data. It's day zero, you turn the site on and you have this wonderful amount of data, and so working with data and using data is all we do. We don't see the consumer, although we do have events and we do things. At the moment we have a huge number of strollers in the office to show moms who come in and get face-to-face user feedback, which is very useful. You can't say I will not meet my consumer. You have to meet your consumer, and the feedback you get from customer calls, the soft feedback you get, that's not hard data, is still very, very valuable, and we collect that and we value it. But still, what comes through on the website, the data, what people are browsing, what's in their basket, what they're communicating back to us, the reviews we have, there's an unbelievable amount of data, and we organize that by silos, by the buying team will look at it in a different way to the customer care team, and will cut it in multiple ways. And everybody looks at the return data. I think the return data is very important. But the ability to look at the data from a lot of different points of view very quickly is very important. So the same data is cut in multiple ways and fed live to the teams, so they're able to make decisions and improve. So in every meeting, it's live data, and it's a dashboard specific for that task, and that gets modified over time. And we are trying to capture more and more of that data as we try to uncover problems.
Yeah. So what are the main problems or the main pain points at this point for you?
What are the main problems and the main pain points? I think just understanding the next layer. So we understand, let's just say, what product lines customers struggle with, what product lines customers find either difficult to assemble or difficult to buy, or so we're there. But getting into the psyche of the consumer, so this is why we do user group meetings. We take it to the next level, because you can never, the intangible feelings that the mother has, you still have to talk to that mom. And that brings us to why we are launching Moms World Academy. So the Moms Academy basically is to take it to that next level, to really touch the experience rather than the product.
Yeah. So I have to ask you this now, if you were an e-commerce player, like most e-commerce players, where they only sell products and you didn't have the two other pillars, do you think you would have still been as successful as you are right now?
I think it's really unique to your vertical. So I think if I was selling surfboards, I need a community, because surfers have that community. But I think in other verticals, you might not need it. But mothers are very much a group, and they become a group. So you're an individual, and then you get pregnant, and suddenly you're trying to find other mothers who are like you. It's just the nature of that experience. And it's because it's very challenging, it's a steep learning curve, and it's very, very lonely. And if you ask moms, even if they're surrounded by family and friends, they'll tell you the biggest feeling they have, it's a very lonely journey.
Going back to our point on data, right? So it's very easy to get personalization with the data that you have. You can obviously do recommendations and tailor your offerings to customers. However, personal connection is something that people who have physical stores and a physical presence, they can nail. So how do you build that balance? I know you've spoken about this community you're trying to build, but I would like you to get into details of it.
So today we have a huge network of influencers who are working solely with Moms World. And they love that, and we love them for it, because what they are doing is they're basically saying, this is my community, the moms community is my community. It's not the fashion community, it's not the sports community, but the moms community is where I belong, and I want to give back, and I want to be part of that. And then they work with us to enable them to give back to that community. So by association, we're linking directly with the consumer, and people make a personal connection with these humans who are actually showing their life raw. when their baby cries, when their baby is happy. So that raw connection is happening.
Right. And so going back to the basics, right? So again, when you started, was it 9 years back when you launched? So 9 years back when you had launched, let's say mums at that point, they weren't as tech savvy as they are today, right? When it comes to an e-commerce platform, which started off as a website, not a social network. Was there an acceptance issue back then? Was it a task for you to go out and reach out to people and get your message across?
When we launched, Amazon had been around for a while, and PayPal had been around for a while. So I think some of that education was there. Suit was doing a great job at the time, just educating the Arabic-speaking consumer at scale. But the issue you had wasn't actually trying to explain to the consumer that you need to buy online. The issue you had is once you had them online and they were coming to you because the market didn't provide what they needed, was the services, the payment gateway wasn't up to scratch, the delivery partner wasn't up to scratch. So your support network wasn't there to give that consumer the safe experience they wanted. So they were a bit like unsure. So had we had that infrastructure in place, I think the journey would have been a lot easier.
Yeah. So you mentioned returns earlier, right? With the whole omni-channel buzzword that's going around in retail today. However, everybody thinks that it's only click and collect, and that's how you nail omni-channel. However, one main problem customers have is with the return. So if they buy something online and they need to return it, it's still a massive hassle. With you being purely e-commerce, is that a problem that your customers still face, or how have you addressed this challenge?
So for us, return is a really big thing because I think you need to feel secure that if you buy it and there's an issue with it or it's the wrong size, you can return it. It's a very small percentage because our returns are super low. We have some of the smallest returns in the industry because if you spend an hour researching strollers and you buy one, you really at the end are not going to be like, I changed my mind. It's not like a red dress. We're like, I'll buy a different red dress. So returns are super low in our industry. But feeling secure to do that is important. That's why we have a whole dedicated group of people. That's what they do. That's their bread and butter. This is what they sleep, think about, and we are always working on improving that. And the improvement in the return experience is what they're measured on. They're not measured on reducing returns. They're measured on the return experience. And the return experience is the number of days, the number of contacts you had to do to return it. So did you have to call us once or 4 times? So the fewer times you called us, the quicker we collected, the quicker we got back to you is how they're measured on. So it's really it's like the F&B industry. How good was your experience rather than, how much did you pay for the check?
Right. So what is the return process for you?
So, we have very clear terms and conditions depending on the country where we operate because different countries have different laws about returns. And then it's a question of the reason for the return and the time, if you're within the time limit for the country or within the reason. But we do have, you always have that customer who comes after 3 months and says, well, it's not working anymore. And then you start going into that kind of unknown. But so far it's within the return period of the item, and it's you've sent the information. Should be a 24 to 48 hour experience.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about competition as well, because when you started, obviously there were a lot of physical stores, from Baby Shop to a Smyk to Mothercare, a lot of them, right? And these were brands that people were comfortable with. They already knew there was a whole feel-good factor of being in a physical environment like this. And then you came in as an e-commerce player, but then even on the e-commerce front, online front, there were a lot of competitors there with FirstCry and then the marketplaces. And now Noon has announced that they are going to get into the mother, baby, child category. So does this worry you at all in terms of your market share? Because there's one pie. I know there are new mothers coming in every day, but then the old mothers are also stopped, being your customers. So are you worried about the competition?
I think what's really important is to say, what are we delivering? So what is it? What is Mom's World known for? And we're very clear on what we're known for. And we're here to solve a problem. We're not here to sell more apparel, and we're certainly not here to sell more diapers. So we're very clear on the vision of what we're delivering. So our solution is content, product, and community. And so far as everything we do and all the communication we do is solving a problem for the mom, we're still going to be here. Because retailers become, they're not relevant anymore. Like mother care, unfortunately, today is not relevant because what they're doing is just churning out more apparel, and they're not saying, is this solving anything for the consumer? You walk into a mother care and the consumer feels so detached from this experience because it's not delivering today's world solution.
Yeah.
So far as you're continuously evolving, then I don't think that the competition comes and goes.
Yeah.
As long as you're one with your consumer, then you're okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So just at the back of competition, what we also need to talk about, or what we've seen, especially in the last year, is a lot of collaborations happening. And it's been the products that have come out of these collaborations and the experiences that have come out of these collaborations have been amazing. Are you also getting into collaborations with retailers, brands, people?
So you spoke earlier about a lot of competition coming to the market. We don't see that. We feel that there's a lot of people trying to do things, but they're not very focused. And this is why a lot of the big retailers have collaborated with us, and they basically see results in a way that they don't see anywhere else. So, you know, after COVID, retailers are in panic mode. They're saying, okay, I need to be on every outlet online. I need to make sure that if we are shut down again, I have a way to sell.
Yeah.
But they have seen that working with Momswell, the results they get, the sales they get, the reach they get is different to any other platform. And they hold on to that. Because, you know, reaching that new mom is very difficult. She's looking for a very specific experience. So yeah, you can sell consumables, cream and diaper. Any supermarket or corner shop can do that.
Yeah.
But can you sell her as a solution where she says, I can only get what I need from Momswell. I can only do this on your platform.
Yeah.
This is the experience you're selling.
Yeah.
And so for us, is there a lot of competition? Yeah, there's a lot of people trying for it. Smyk is actually quite new in the market. They're not older than 3 years. But are they doing what we're doing? No.
Right. So again, just at the back of what you've said, right? There's just been so much buzz around the technology, and you know everyone's trying to get into the tech sphere of it. And one thing they've realized in the last year is, you know, the ones who've got a head start in technology and the e-commerce space, they're the ones who are winning. With mother, baby, child, that category itself has been known to be crisis-proof traditionally. Would you agree that you're a mother, baby, child e-commerce player? It is the most safest crisis-proof vertical to be in today.
I mean, you're gonna buy. You're not gonna like, and if you're going to give up, you know, your new phone, you're not gonna give up buying a really good stroller for your child. But I also think that from a supply chain point of view, we're not crisis proof. You know, we all produce in the same countries. If tomorrow there is a supply chain issue globally, we will be impacted.
Yeah.
And this is why we are working very, very hard to diversify. But I think everyone after the crisis did that. So yeah, on the front end, we will always have the consumer if we deliver the solution they want. But on the back end, we're not crisis proof, unfortunately. And, you know, it is an imperfect world.
Right. Okay. So you've spoken about you coming into the market to solve different problems. Obviously, the problems would have changed over the course of the years. As of 2021, what is the main problem that you are looking to solve?
What is the main problem we're looking to solve is basically being able to deliver to the consumer the immense amount of data that we provide. So we don't feel that the utilization per user is where we want it to be.
Yeah.
So I think we've built this amazing platform, amazing content, amazing community, and we need to make it more user-friendly for the consumer to utilize it. Nobody today has that, the quality of content, information, product that we have. I mean, I would say locally, and if we look at Europe, there's no platform like Momswell. So to be able to give that in a more seamless fashion to the consumer is where we are at today.
Right. I was also going to ask you a little bit about loyalty and what schemes you have. But from everything you've spoken so far, it feels like your business model itself revolves around loyalty and having and building that community. So would you even consider having a separate scheme, or is that just the language of Mom's World? Loyalty is how we play.
We've always had a point system for moms to reward them for being with us, and that's whether they create user-generated content, they get points, or they buy. So whenever they interact with us, they get points. And the idea is that the richer the content on our platform, the richer the information, everybody benefits in the community. So we're going to give back some of that benefit. in a monetary way. But developing that and building that is also something we always do. We're always listening and looking, and if you look at our team, we're 70% women. Most of us are moms. You know, we always end up hiring moms. Our head of technology is a mom.
Yeah.
You know, our community leaders are all moms. Our content leader is a mother. We have so many mothers and mothers of young children. So you always find that if we are with the consumer on a daily basis, we will always find solutions that suit that consumer, and we will forever evolve.
Right, amazing. Just finally, for those who, we have a lot of viewers who are trying to start their own e-commerce operations, who are in the early stages, just if you can give us quick tips on how to go about starting an e-commerce operation, and you know, if you have your own success formula that you would like to share with the viewers.
I think the biggest question you have to ask yourself, how do I get the traffic? And do I have the funding to get that right traffic? So if you're comfortable with acquiring, traffic is expensive, you know, it's becoming more and more expensive every year. So you have to say to yourself, do I collaborate and do that? Or I do that on my own? Do I product develop and then go on a platform? Because it's not having the product or delivering a beautiful solution, it's basically attracting that value traffic. And that's the challenge. And I think before you start anything, you just have to say, can I attract that consumer at the right price that I can afford in startup phase?
And how important is funding in all of this, and how much of a task or how difficult is that process?
I think it's 50% of what founders do, or I think at some point it's 70% of what we do.
Yeah.
And the ecosystem is developing. So when we were raising Series A, we were the only people in the market, or one of the first few people raising in the region. Then when we went to Series B, we were also one of the first few people to do that. So I think it's evolving, but it's very, very time consuming.
But was that a good thing or a bad thing when you were the first few people trying to generate all of the funding? Because right now the market is so segmented. So when you go to like a Magnet or a WAMDA, there are just so many people competing for that same kind of funding.
But there's a lot more funds.
Yeah.
There's a lot more funds. Initially, there weren't that many funds. Now there's a lot more, and actually if you listen to traditional funds, they're all saying, oh, we need kind of a high growth technology segment, and they're creating that. So more and more money is coming to this space. When we were doing it, it wasn't as rich with the funding.
Yeah, but now today there's a better startup ecosystem, you'd say, in this region.
Yeah, and people taking more risk and putting bigger tickets.
Yeah, even this year after the pandemic.
I think we had a record month in March.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had a record fundraising month. We started 2021 with a sentiment from one of the funds saying there's too many companies and not enough funds, and then suddenly March comes and there's an announcement almost every day.
Yeah.
So it's been very active.
All right.
The first SPAC in the region. I mean, there's a lot of very positive things coming out.
Great, that's very great to know. And on that very optimistic note, I would like to thank you for joining us here for this lovely conversation. I've learned so much from you about community, and that's a different way of looking at e-commerce. That's really not how I thought the conversation today would go. But thanks so much for joining me, and thank you to all the viewers who've tuned in today. We will be back again with another session very soon.